We're going to Gulf 1.
Just after sunrise, the crew from the Rappahannock Oyster Company heads out to pull the first oyster cages of the day.
The Norris Bridge.
Ian Reed navigates the mouth of the Rappahannock River, which empties into the Chesapeake Bay by sight and memory. The crew will pull 9 cages resting on the bottom in shallow water, enough oysters to fill orders from restaurants across the U.S.
This looks like a bit more than 7.
Oysters are filter feeders that live off nutrients floating by in the water. 15 years ago, the Chesapeake Bay and its tributaries were so polluted the oysters were almost extinct. But thanks to the Chesapeake Bay Program, a cleanup effort funded in part and coordinated by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, oysters are making a comeback. That's why Ian and others who make a living raising and harvesting oysters were alarmed to hear about President Trump's plan to cancel the $73 million program.
We needed to keep money and funds into that, because if not, everything's going to get trashed and dirty, and it's just going to be horrible. And I guess we'll find out the outcome sooner or later.
Following up on his campaign pledge, Trump has been rolling back clean water regulations and cutting funding from the EPA's budget.
The EPA's regulators were putting people out of jobs by the hundreds of thousands.
The EPA cuts would include projects like the Chesapeake Bay Program. His budget recommends returning responsibility for such programs to the state and local level, arguing that Washington should not be funding regional efforts. Environmentalists have cried foul. Kim Coble is vice president of the Chesapeake Bay Foundation.
And we found that clean water will bring an additional $22 billion a year to this economy, conservatively estimated. So there's no doubt in our mind that there's a direct link between clean water and jobs.
The Rappahannock Oyster Company employs more than 30 people at 3 farms around the bay. The state of Virginia sold $16 million worth of oysters in 2015 alone. There is concern that without the Environmental Protection Agency involved, there is no one entity to monitor and set water quality goals. Patrick Oliver is the farm manager for the Rappahannock Oyster Company.
There needs to be a group that's working together to, like I said, to establish what needs to be changed and what kind of guidelines that need to be set.
We have these Rochambeau.
17 members of Congress have written a letter to President Trump urging him to restore the funding for the program. Oyster lovers around the region remain optimistic the president will reconsider. Jeff Swycord, VOA News in Topping, Virginia.